one big pet peeve I also have, let me just get this in as well. What in the world is Jason Garrett doing with the play calling? Hey, what's going on? I'm Keith, host of Sportsvibestv, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing the Giants' recent loss to the LA Rams. We ended up losing 17-9, unfortunately, and have now dropped to 0-4 to start the 2020 season. But before I get into it, if you're into Giants videos, consider subscribing. I like to drop videos 3 to 4 times a week now that the season has begun. So with that being said, let's get into it. Unlike our previous game against a depleted San Francisco 49ers team, the Giants were much more competitive against the LA Rams. Unfortunately, our offense was unable to hit double digits once again. We were held under 10 points compared to the 49ers game where we again only scored 9 points. And right now, I think our biggest issues on offense are the offensive line and Daniel Jones. And it's real unfortunate to have to say those things because Gettleman went out, drafted Daniel Jones to be that franchise replacement player. And then this year, Gettleman also retooled the offensive line. He brought in Andrew Thomas. He spent more draft capital on Lemieux, on Pert, and those other players. So it's very unfortunate to see that our team and our offensive line is still, struggling 4 games into the year. But it's not all negative. I don't want to come on here and act like it's all negative. In the second half of the game, the offensive line was getting much more push at the line of scrimmage, and they were opening up holes. Wayne Gallman was able to run, if I'm not mistaken, for a 20-plus yard run, which they said was the largest or the longest run of his career. You saw Devontae Freeman come in as well. He was able to break a couple long runs as well. Nothing too crazy. I think he had one run that was about 10 or 11 yards, and then the rest were either 4 to 6 yards. But compared to what we've been doing in the previous games, that was very good to see. I was over here, I watched the games on these 3 screens back here and on a couple tablets, and I was over here just hyped because I'm like, yes, we're finally running the ball. We're giving the defense, the defense can't pin their airbacks and just chase down Daniel Jones all game. So the fact that we were able to actually have some kind of running game formed is some positivity to bring towards our next game next week. And when it comes to Daniel Jones is still proving to have an issue with turning the ball over. He fumbled the ball, but was able to actually recover the ball. And, I don't want to say it's not Daniel Jones's fault, but he does have to do a much better job of feeling the pressure in the pocket. I'm sitting here watching the game and I'm like, damn, you better get out of there. These boys is on your back. And he did have a few moments, especially in the second half of the game, where he was able to improvise. There was one play towards, I think it was the second to last drive. It was towards the second to last drive, and he was able to escape a collapsing pocket, and somehow it was kind of reminiscent to what Eli did in the Super Bowl, but it wasn't as dramatic. He didn't throw the ball. He ended up scrambling, and I think he picked up 6 or 7 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Another thing with Daniel Jones scrambling, that guy has to start getting down. He was getting lit up every time he was, scrambling the ball. So he has to work on his slide as well. Defensively, I think the defense had a few mental errors. There was that big, it was like a 50 or 60 yard touchdown pass to Cooper Kupp. If I'm not mistaken, Julian Love blew the coverage over on top, and Cooper Kupp pretty much ran into the end zone untouched. And that's really pretty much what lost us the game, because if you look at how the game progressed from that point onward, the Giants had opportunities to put points on the board. It's just we were down by 8 points at that point, and it didn't make sense to keep kicking field goals. So we went on 4th down a couple times, and we're unable and unsuccessful in completing it. And pretty much Daniel Jones threw the ball away at the end of the game when he ended up throwing an interception that he was trying to force the ball into. If I'm not mistaken, it was either Ratley or Slayton he was trying to force the ball into. So Daniel Jones is going to have to continue. One big pet peeve I also have, let me just get this in as well. what in the world is Jason Garrett doing with the play calling? It's like once or twice every game, he calls some mind-blowing trickery play. I don't even know if it's called trickery because it just looks foolish. He calls some foolish play to try to, disguise or to trick the defense, and we end up losing yardage. And he always does it on third down. Jason Garrett, if you get wind of this, do that nonsense on first down. That way we still have second and third down to recover. Don't throw all your eggs in that nonsense basket when, that's pretty much it. We're going to have to punt after it. He did so. I don't even know what he was doing. He had, if I'm not mistaken, Ingram motion into the backfield. They faked the toss to Ingram, and then they decided to throw it to Tate on a little, like a bubble screen, and it was just unsuccessful. It just looked disorganized. It didn't look like they spent enough time practicing it. And for him to go to that play on a third down later on in the game, to me, made no sense. So those are some things that the Giants are going to have to work on. I'm going to try to watch the video again, try to see if I can pick up any other things. The offensive line, let me not even, blow past this. The offensive line was atrocious. I know I mentioned it in the beginning, but in the first half alone, they gave up 4 sacks, which is unacceptable. There is no reason a team should be on pace for 8 sacks in any game. That's just, we have to work on it. Andrew Thomas, he got beat on a couple plays. There were also plays where Nick Gates is also proven to be a problem. He's been snapping the ball terribly. If you were watching that game, all the snaps were going up and above Daniel Jones's head, which to me was ridiculous. So those are some things that we're going to have to look forward at or pay attention to moving forward. So, I would like to know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Once again, I'm Keith, host of Sportsvibestv, and I'm out.